Units of output method. Assume that a company bought 3 buses for $120,000 each. The salvage value per bus is $20,000 and its useful life in units is 400,000 kilometers. Let's calculate the depreciation per kilometer. Depreciation is equal to the cost of the asset minus the salvage value over the useful life, which will be measured in kilometers in this case. So it is equal to $120,000 minus $20,000 divided by 400,000 kilometers, which will equal to a depreciation value of 0.25 per kilometer. The company assigned Bus 1 to Edmonton-Calgary route, Bus 2 to Calgary-Vancouver route, and Bus 3 to Toronto-Burlington route. In year 1, the Edmonton-Calgary bus was driven for 200,000 kilometers. The Calgary-Vancouver bus ran for 360,000 kilometers, and the Toronto-Burlington bus traveled 120,000 kilometers. Let's calculate the depreciation for each bus in year 1. The depreciation expense for the Edmonton-Calgary bus is equal to 200,000 kilometers times $0.25, so it is equal to $50,000. The depreciation expense for the Calgary-Vancouver bus is equal to 360,000 kilometers times $0.25 equal to $90,000. The depreciation expense for the Toronto-Burlington bus is equal to 120,000 kilometers times $0.25 equal to $30,000. After recording the depreciation expense, the accumulated depreciation of each bus has the following balances. Bus 1 is $50,000, Bus 2 is $90,000, Bus 3 is $30,000. In year 2, the Edmonton-Calgary bus traveled 60,000 kilometers. The depreciation expense is equal to 60,000 kilometers times $0.25 equal to $15,000. After the depreciation expense is recorded, the accumulated depreciation account for Bus 1 is equal to $65,000. In year 2, the Calgary-Vancouver bus traveled for 180,000 kilometers, exceeding its useful life of 400,000 kilometers in only 2 years. The depreciation expense, if calculated as usual, it will be 180,000 kilometers times $0.25, which is $45,000. If we debit depreciation expense and credit accumulated depreciation by $45,000, its balance in accumulated depreciation account will be equal to $135,000. This will exceed the depreciable amount of $100,000, which is the difference between the cost of $120,000 and the salvage value of $20,000. In such a situation, and in order not to exceed the depreciable amount, we will ignore the usual calculations and we will use a balancing figure that makes the accumulated depreciation account equal to the depreciable amount of $100,000. Hence, we will record the depreciation as $100,000, which is the total depreciable amount of the asset, minus the current balance in the accumulated depreciation account, which is $90,000, to get $10,000. After posting this entry, the accumulated depreciation account for Bus 2 will show a balance of $100,000, which is equal to the total depreciable amount of the bus. If the bus is still in good shape and can be used further, the business could use it, but it won't record any depreciation expense for it in the future. Notice that this method depends on the usage of the asset. When the asset is highly used, such as in year 1 for the Edmonton to Calgary bus, it gets charged with a higher depreciation expense. When it is used less, such as in year 2, its depreciation expense is lower. However, this method is not suitable except for assets whose usage can be clearly measured in commonly acceptable and measurable units.